This is the real estate market report for May of 2023. So, a couple things have changed since last month. The first is that our average sales price has gone down a little bit from 838,000 down to 825,000. And that decrease of activity was really just a wake from the severe weather we had this winter with that storm. So what it really did was the storm paused activity for 2 or 3 months. And then now that we're seeing that pause kind of come into effect and the ripple of that, recent transactions haven't been really closing or getting put in escrow the past 2 months. So we don't have that many closings for the month of May. And as we head into June and July and deeper into the summer, we probably will see a average sales price change. In fact, most homes over $1.5 million have actually appreciated since this past quarter. So that's good news and a positive trend for the high-end market. So the middle range homes in Lake Arrowhead have seen a little bit more of a decrease. But in general, expect summer and this year to be quite fair and optimistic, and it is a promising real estate market, but it is definitely it's not crazy out of imbalance with the buyers and sellers. It's more moderate. So we've had about 96 new listings from the month of April until July, and we usually see an uptick in new listings that happen in the spring. So as we head deeper into summer, those listings will start getting a much more attention from the buyer pool as they come up and take advantage of the primary selling season. So with an increase of number of new listings and buyer, we're trying to see how that imbalance happens. Do we get more listings than we have buyers? And that will really play a part in the month of June, and we'll see how those listings do end up selling. So right now, the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is at 6.34%. The last month in May, the rates were just above at 6.4. So really kind of just been hovering the past few months. We haven't really seen that much of a significant increase or decrease in interest rates. And what that's really done is allowed people to kind of, if they're trying to sell or they're trying to buy, they can at least know what they're getting, and the market's not shifting too fast like it was last year. So I think as we head into the future, the rates will have to stay below 7% in with the current market conditions. If they did push it, it would hurt the market. But right now, our market's actually doing really well, and the GDP in America is growing. So inflation is also cooling. So once the Federal Reserve reaches their targeted inflation rate, there's a possibility that they'll lower those rates. I don't think that'll happen this summer, but probably more towards the end of this year, maybe even as far as next year, the rates will start coming down. And they're not going to come down to 2 or 3%. They're going to come down to 4 or 5% and kind of stay around there. So right now, homes are taking longer to sell. That might be because of that past winter storm, and the data coming out now, those listings sat for 2 months basically. So, and they didn't really get much attention then. So that might be the imbalance there. And but overall, homes are generally taking a little bit longer to sell right now than we were used to in the past 3 years. And that is just a sign that there is an imbalance of supply and demand in the market. So Lake Arrowhead Woods has an average about 190 listings this time of year. Right now, we saw a 45 increase listings from April to May. So right now, our current inventory is at 191. And that really is a okay number. It's not too much. It's not too little. It's kind of that break-even number with what our buyer pool is doing right now. So with the rise of inventory, this time of year, we usually see this many listings. And we also see 45 listings coming on the market. So this is kind of typical. And really, as our listing inventory grows, the buyers can get more picky, unfortunately. So it does increase their chance of finding a home. So transactions get increase because there's more opportunity for buyers to find their dream home. But it also makes selling your home a little bit difficult because you need to stand out. So some homes are selling quicker and some homes are taking longer. But in general, We have a healthy amount of listings. It's not quite a buyer's market yet. The trend is headed in that direction, but I can't say that I think there's a slight favor towards buyers in today's market, and definitely allows them to get competitive offers accepted and things like that. But I don't think we're in that extreme of, it's a buyer's market, sellers are getting dealt a shorter hand. So for this month, I went into the new construction business. Basically, the new construction business, or just the construction industry at all in Lake Arrowhead, was really stabilized since the past 3 years. So a lot of new opportunities are surfacing, and overall, I would say it's optimistic for the construction economy in the United States. So the largest factors right now that the industry is seeing is really the supply chains coming back. So whatever shortages or whatever back orders we've seen over the past 3 years are really caught up. And then really the next thing is just the interest rates are keeping that flood of people coming to the market that have been waiting from really putting a lot of new constructions. But we are seeing plenty of new development in America, and it is one of the still leading industries right now as far as performance. So interest rates are keeping it kind of cool. Thankfully, Lake Arrowhead in particular has definitely recovered significantly from those pandemic issues, especially since being a second home market, and anything that happens to our market swings us much more volatile than other markets. But we're actually, since we saw that flood of people coming from LA up to the mountains seeking refuge, we got that influx of affluent people that have really raised the quality and the type of real estate that they're building. So homes are much larger, have more amenities, higher end, and that's really raised the property values in Lake Arrowhead. So a lot of new projects are scheduled for 2024 and this year. So I think that as we head into this year and 2024, it's just going to be even better. And I do have a lot of optimism for these new opportunities. So historically, this is important, the construction business in Lake Arrowhead has definitely been very volatile. We had a boom in the 70s and 80s, of course, and then hit the rock bottom recession of 2008, and have been recovering since then. And basically, we've recovered since 2008 plus some, so that's good. And then right now, we're kind of in a stable and consistent, supply and demand market where it's not too volatile, but it is pretty fair. But if you analyze the cost of building over the past, 20 years or so, if you were to build a 3,500 square foot home in the early 2000s, it would have cost about $1 million, but the home value would be about $1 million. So the profit margin was very thin, and you had to build a very specific type of home to make any money. In today's market, it's a little bit different. So that same home would cost $1.5 million to build, but that home would be worth over 1.8. So since we've appreciated a lot in the past 3 years, the margin for building has actually stepped out in front of the building costs, which is great. So profit margins have increased, and I do notice people starting to take advantage of that. And then overall, construction industry for Lake Arrowhead, is growing about 1.2% per quarter, and that is good news. And about 15,000 new construction jobs have been getting added. So we also are at still one of the lowest unemployment rates in history for America. So it just really provides that resilience in today's market. But in conclusion, today's market really is a great time for a lot of different people. It's much more balanced and much more fair than typical markets that we've seen where it's been very favorable to sellers. And there's been a lot of appreciation. So you got to be wise in today's market, but it definitely has plenty of opportunities for individuals on both ends. So you just really need a professional to help you navigate that and see where you can play. But that's it for the market report for May of 2023. Excited for what June brings us and the rest of the summer. If you have any questions, of course, reach out to me directly. Jonathan Viero with Team Lake Arrowhead. I'll see you in the next video.